Hey everyone, how's it going? I know it's been a little while since I posted, and we can all thank the Sigma FP for that. If you didn't catch my previous teaser, that camera is freaking horrible. It will not autofocus. If you do any work that requires autofocus, absolutely rethink using that camera. I recorded this entire video twice, and it's one that takes a lot of work because it's about family photos. A particularly difficult topic to discuss because virtually every photographer I know handles them differently. So yes, I've gone through this entire talk that I'm about to give twice, and both varied wildly. So I'm hoping I can take the best parts of each video and remember everything that I want to say. This is a particularly good time for me to talk about this because I literally just photographed a wedding where the night before the wedding, the planner sent me 35 different groups of family photos that they wanted, or so they thought they wanted. A few things. Yes, so I recorded this video twice before I had to leave out of town, and I'm not particularly good about making these kinds of videos when I'm traveling, and I travel a lot. I'm trying to maybe consider a way to come up with a good portable rig, but you'd be surprised how long it takes to set even something as visually simple as this up. In fact, I'll take a little screen grab of exactly what everything I'm staring at looks like. When you're in a studio environment that doesn't utilize a black room with studio lights, I'm working with the sun and I'm working with reflectors, and it takes literally like 45 minutes to place everything depending on what time of day I find time to record these videos. So yeah, going on the road just amplifies that complication because I never know exactly what my environment's going to be like, particularly relative to the lighting. I'm working on things. I'm hoping to have a couple of very portable lights that I can use. I actually found these really cool roll-up lights. Here, I'll just grab one. You can check it out. This guy, 140 bucks on Amazon, and it actually Velcros to this collapsible rig that gets very, very portable. This whole thing collapses down into, a little thing this big. And then this actually rolls up. And it's a changeable LED light. I'll link to it in the show notes. Pretty fantastic. I'm hoping this can serve as more of a portable rig. This time of year, things are winding down for me, as I'm sure they are for many of you. Once I get through the bulk of all the editing I need to get up on, this is exactly how many photos I have in my queue right now. So yeah, not very changed from the last video I made where I believe I had about 39,000. It's a crazy time of year. So I do look through the exit reviews when people leave Patreon to see any, feedback that I can find helpful. One of the things somebody said was that I was doing the 3-step click too often. And I thought that was weird because I'm pretty sure I only do it once a month. I don't know where they're getting that impression from, but yeah, I want you to feel free when you're actively pledged to Patreon to give me feedback, even if it's something you think I may not appreciate. That's really gonna bug me. The sun is back out and I couldn't quite flag that corner. You shouldn't feel embarrassed or shy. You're spending your money to be here. I want it to be a good use of your money and your time. Please give me that feedback directly before you decide to leave, because it may turn into a post within itself. Of course, you can also chime in on the user forum, which is filling up with endless numbers of threads of people discussing all kinds of different things that I will or will not be able to get to in a dedicated Patreon post. Make sure you always feel free. My door is open to patrons. I may miss Instagram messages, Facebook messages, all that social media type stuff, but on Patreon and in the forum in particular, I try and stay as active as I possibly have time for. Speaking of which, the entire reason I wanted to talk about family photos was because of somebody asking about them in the user forum. Now, they were actually asking about family styled sessions and stuff like that, not family photos like during a wedding day. I have the most experience dealing with family photos during the wedding day, and I was thinking, for a lot of people, I remember in my early years, it was a real source of nerves, and I don't really get anxious. I never really have, but I think that you could say it's as close to anxiety as I would ever have. It's because you don't know. That's the biggest outside factor. You don't know the personalities you're going to deal with. You have no idea the light situation, and then you have no clue if it's going to be 4 people in a family or 40. Everybody has different relationship dynamics. It can be a lot to handle, but I think most photographers stress, particularly in terms of the efficiency, the order that you do them, and the lighting situation. So I'm going to discuss both of those throughout this video and show you some examples of weddings, including a behind the scenes B-roll of me shooting an entire series of family photos. I think we did about 30 different groups, and I'll also post like the end result pictures. Anyway, I just want to dive right into it. A wedding I photographed back in August ended up being one of my favorite weddings of the entire year. Had a nightmare scenario for family photos. I'm just going to pull it up here and post exactly what the Excel spreadsheet, always a red flag there, looked like. Okay, so we're looking at 42 different, I don't know how many different families of family photos, right? So this is a lot. This, and clients go out of their way to use people's names. And right out of the gate, I'll tell you, using first names is a horrible approach to family photos. Unless you have the ability to show, not yell, but actually show on a screen every single person's name that they should be up in front, it's just a complete waste of time to say, okay, I need Fong, Carrie, Quinn, Anne, Anvu, Thao, Justin, Jessica, Keoa, Jonathan, Jennifer, Julia, Huang, Jason, Kim, Mark. I just went through a dozen names. What are the chances that even half those people actually heard their name and knew that they were supposed to be in the photo right now, not maybe the one coming up? So that just brought about a dozen different people asking for a clarifying question. Perhaps, yeah, you get lucky and everybody gets in there. What are the chances that that's actually going to happen for all 42 groupings? Of course, not all of them are that big, but it's a bad idea to use first names. Don't even bother with it. If you have a lot of different groups of families, go with the last name. That is a surefire, Trung family, Young family, all the Young family, just get in there. Especially once you're in like the first 5-10 minutes of family photos, couples start to realize like, oh, we got everybody in the shot. Do we really need one of the two of us and just my aunt, or one of the two of us and just Jimmy and Wendy? And one of the things that I send ahead of time is a client questionnaire. I know I've peppered it throughout old posts on Patreon, but I'll post it here again for anybody new or anybody that missed it the first time. This questionnaire is pretty critical, and it comes with a canned response that I'll also post here. I don't think I've ever shown it before, but it does have some things to think about in terms of, okay, not only should you use last names if you need to do a lot of extended and bigger family groupings, but also make sure the couple are in every family photo, because you double, triple your work if you need to do a set of all groups with just the bride and then that same set again with just the groom. It's a complete nightmare. Always recommend doing a closer, more nuclear or immediate family, grandparents perhaps, anybody older. We can do individuals of them, but it's just a bad idea to try and get super extended family involved in a bunch of individual stuff. So moving on to triage, what you first respond with when you get a list like this looks like this. This is my canned response. I'll post it in the show notes down below. And it's just reasonably pointing out the fact that like, hey, best case scenario, this takes about 1.5 to 2 minutes per group, and we're looking at 1.5 hours of photos. This is funny because they tried to break down all the different minutes required for each group for me, which is just hilarious because they're thinking too logically about how this is going to unfold. Like they literally put 5 minutes for the Bowie clan, another 1 minute for them plus the Farquhars, or I don't know how to say that last name. You have no idea who's actually going to be paying attention, who's going to be around you relative to the situation. I will say at the end of the day, it takes an average of 2 minutes per family photo. You don't want to spend more than 20 minutes doing family pictures. This is my approach to chipping away at the core, most important shots. Bride and groom together, they're your test shot. They're you setting up your lighting, your bounce flash, which is what I almost always use. Ambient, find a pocket of shade that gives you a nice wide thing. Generally, right where they got married is hopefully going to look good enough if you can, even if it's a giant church. See if you can turn off some lights, see what the shade is looking like. Then I'll just add bounce flash or find a place that I can use bounce flash. Whatever the light situation is, I set up with just the bride and groom. Take that classic safe shot that I will completely forget to do when we actually have creative portrait time. They're ready to go. They're anchoring every shot. And I'll tell them, I'm gonna set you guys up first. You're the anchor of every photo. Try not to drift too much, but I'll tell you if you do. That's it. They're in place. Now we start shuffling shuffling people around them. I start with one set of parents, not both. So I'll pick either couple's side, and let's say the groom, for example. Groom, both parents, go. Great. Now groom's parents are done. Add siblings. Great. If you have any divorced or step parents, do those separate parts, which is common. If not, great. Siblings out, groom's parents, step over to groom's side. Great. Generally put mom closest to the center of every composition. So we've got dad, mom, groom, bride. Then we add bride's parents. So we got the groom's parents and bride's parents. Boom. Done. If they really have an extended list like this, let's add all siblings to that shot. What I do then is say, groom's parents, go sit down. Dad from bride's side, swing over and stand next to groom. Almost always I separate couples, unless we start getting into more than one couple in the shot. I keep the bride and groom together, separate everybody else around them. Women on one side, men on the other. So now we have the bride's parents sitting there. Great. Any siblings? Add them. Any extended family, again, separated, whatever, add them, swish everybody away. Now, the majority of the nuclear family is gone, but if there are any grandparents or something like that, I try and make sure we add the bride and groom plus grandparents, and then if they want, pepper in the parents around them, but usually I don't even bother with that. I'll just do grandparents and the couple, depending on the people's kind of requests and what I'm picking up on the day. The big thing is getting momentum going, like having a plan and start small. Don't try and assert your dominance as the photographer with like, everybody get up front, unless you're doing a shot of absolutely everybody, which I only recommend doing at the very last. It just works against you to have to be yelling the whole time. And it just adds an unspoken, ironically, layer of stress on everybody. You don't want to be barking orders. You just don't. Unless you've got a family member or a family that's very experienced at doing a lot of family photos at weddings, it's working against you. Once you have the momentum going of like people see the photographer shuffling people around and like knowing what they want, and the photographer being very particular about guys top button buttoned only, hands in pockets, getting close, an arm around the person next to you, like really keeping that flow, they ease up on feeling like, you get at least 2 or 3 people feeling like, oh, I can take control, I know who everybody is. You want one person, maybe 2, ideally you, and then maybe a family member that actually knows faces and names. Pretty straightforward. That's honestly the bulk of what people actually want at their wedding. And then beyond that, if they get in their head too much, you start to get these crazy cousin groups and all of that. Generally, if you start getting into the realm of like university friends, high school friends, all that, I say, let's just do that at the reception. Let's have the DJ or the band, maybe when they take a break, let's have them make an announcement. We'll just knock it out on the dance floor. You don't have to have a beautiful backdrop, exactly where you got married with all those very extended friend groups. Or let's do them at tables. If, we can pop up where there's a table, as soon as you're done eating, let's jump over and knock those out. It's not a big deal. And at the end of the day, just be sensitive to the closest people in that couple's lives. Now, they may be an exceptional couple and have an unusual number of very impactful close family and friends that they all want individual shots with. And when that's the case, which has happened before, I keep my head down and I get it done. I'll take as long as they want. My clients' priorities are my priorities, but you have to be realistic with them about the timeline. Most people would probably prefer to get a photo with every single person that attends their wedding that they know. That's just not a realistic thing. Everybody generally in some way is likely to be captured in a photo through your documentary work, through just all the candid moments peppered throughout the day. And I try and be sensitive to that, to get at least one photo of everybody, or at least everybody that surrounds them and they interact with the most. They don't have to have a smiling at the camera shot of everybody they think they need. If they sit down with a pen and paper, they're going to think they need it. In reality, they don't. They need their parents, their siblings, their closest best friends who are usually in the wedding party. And I know I've talked about this before, but let me just go through my approach to wedding party photos. I keep wedding party near where all the family photos are occurring, but they generally, unless they're a sibling, they don't participate at all. They just hang out, hopefully for 15, 20 minutes at the most. Then once we're done with all family, we get all the wedding party up, the whole group at once, usually. Get a couple of fun pictures, whatever, like everybody get clothes, bride and groom in the middle, men on one side, women on the other. Flowers, all the same plane. So wherever the bride has her flowers, all the bridesmaids should mirror that plane. So it looks nice compositionally. You don't get like a weird disjointed wave. Guys, top jacket buttoned, cool. Okay, everybody loosen up. You can throw your flowers in the air, unbutton your jacket, get in lean in really close together. Cool, we got the group shot. Now, men, why don't you guys all hang out and just wait on deck? Usually I send the guys away because it's a lot trickier to move the bride and generally the bridesmaids, depending on their dresses as well. So the bridesmaids are already sort of there, keep them there, send the guys away. Bride stays, centers up right in the middle. Balance as best you can. 3 and 3, 2 and 2, if you have a great even number. Otherwise, it's 3 and 2 or 4 and 5. And once I start getting beyond like a 4 and a 5 situation, then we start layers with, depending on where we're standing and all of that. I'll do, 3 in the back, 2 in the front, something along those lines to start kind of creating little triangles where people's heads can just pop in the back rows. Not too bad. The bride with all the bridesmaids, everybody check each other out and they suddenly start looking at each other and just giggle about how goofy it is to be looking that way. And sometimes a bridesmaid suggests, let's fake laugh, which I never say, but I appreciate when they say it because it works every time. Then I have the bride stay exactly where she is and I shuffle every single bridesmaid around her one at a time. So each person has an individual picture, takes about 5 seconds per person. And at the end of that, I say, okay, are there any other groupings that would make sense? Like just sisters or, sorority sisters or whatever, roommates, something like that. Now, all the women are done. They go away and I say, guys, I'm going to do the exact same thing with your group. Everybody groom right here. Everybody surround the groom. Same rules and ideas in terms of placement. Group shot done. With guys, I usually don't say check each other out. I'll usually say, give him a hard time. He's about to get married. Give him a hard time. He just got married. Yeah, this is real cutting edge stuff here. But generally giving him a hard time means somebody will pretend, punch him in the stomach or the ass, and then you get laughs, hopefully. I'm looking for that moment just before or just after that, kind of cheesy thing that somebody comes up with. Where people are just laughing and being themselves. Then I have the groom stay right where he is. Everybody one picture at a time with the groom. Then if there is time, I get everybody back together for one more group shot. Because everybody's had their moment with their friend, the bride or the groom, and everybody has gone through a variety of group shots. Most people are much more relaxed and just trying to have fun at this point. So I'll do one more group shot of everybody that way. We'll do the fun shot if somebody insists. And then I'll have the bride and group step out in front. Do a quick one with like some blurry bokeh of their friends and the bride and groom in focus. Then I'll just have, okay, everybody just look at each other and walk toward me. Just walk right past me and I get a nice, motion shot for the videographer, or it sometimes works really well candidly. Sometimes I'll have the bride and groom stay right in place and have everybody walk around them, which is how I got this photo. And that can be really cool and effective. But at this point, I'm just watching the time. And if we're, 35, 40 minutes into all family pictures and wedding party photos, I'm trying to wrap it up so we can jump into bride and groom pictures, which is exactly when I would do that for the last 20 minutes of cocktail hour, give or take. I usually have about 20 minutes with the couple. That was a whirlwind. Holy crap. It's a lot to even say. But realistically, you can approach 95% of your weddings, in America at least, with this sort of approach and confidence and knowing that it's something you can knock out in about 30, 40 minutes, worst case scenario, hopefully. Now with Indian weddings or other kinds of weddings, I usually encourage a receiving line. That creates an orderly fashion to everybody coming up in groups without it being complete chaos of me having to direct each person new into the shot. And normally I'll recommend that during the reception where they usually have a little bench and a nice kind of stage built out. So I'm all about the receiving line. At that point, I just pretend I'm a human tripod. Get people close, don't have any gaps at any point during any of these photos, encourage that. A lot of people will keep a little bit of distance between the bride and themselves because they don't want to step on the dress. Totally fine and understandable. I say, we're gonna do the lift and tuck, lift the dress, tuck your foot underneath. A lot of people freak out about getting the dress perfectly oriented for these pictures. And I say right off the bat, when somebody starts doing that, don't even worry, we're gonna tuck it behind her. So just keep the train nice and compact behind her. Otherwise people won't get in close. And that wins the argument almost instantly every single time. I hope you like that little spiel. I hope you enjoy some of the canned responses and assets that I post here. I would love to know if you have any other questions about how to approach family photos. And if you have any ideas or tricks that work really well for your own approach. I can't believe this is my third time going through all of that stuff, but my trusty Canon EOS R, thank you for being rock steady reliable through all these video takes, unlike the Sigma FP. I will say one of the feedback responses I got was somebody who paid $10 to join and was pissed that my Sigma FP review was so short and basically a rant. But if that person buys the Sigma FP and ignores my review of it, I cannot stress how much they're going to regret that decision. Honestly, it is a horrible camera. All Sigma did was get in early with the full frame cinema DNG raw footage, and it's only good for that, and only if you do manual focus with extreme stabilization. It's a bad camera. Anyway, I'm gonna stop picking on people. Thank you so much for paying attention to my family photos approach in video. I hope that you're not all suffering from 40, 50, 60,000 images in your queue. I hope you took some time out to watch this video and got something new from it. Hit me up in the comments of the thread, of course, and also make sure and post in the user group if you want to extend the discussion to something longer. So thanks everyone, bye. Okay, I'm going to dial in the light, and then once that is done, these are going to go incredibly fast, so prepare yourself. Wait 1 second. Can we move that luggage? Sorry, basically anywhere in front of or behind that table. Okay, and that looks great. So button your and button your bottom. Arms around, close to each other. Act like you like each other. Convincing, very nice. Good, good, good. And great.
Okay, that's okay. All right, Edie.
Oh, you have a list?
Yes, I do have a list. I got shares right there. So that's slide you great policy.
And put the chair just a little in front of you, so that helps. the log mode on that? Jeez. I don't do anything custom. I just use whatever state they're like
Oh, this is just standard. I've been shooting in C-Log for like regular like videos for my Patreon, but instead of shooting today, I have a hard time metering if I'm not in like Adobe Standard.
Okay, regular D. All right. Okay. Whoop. Yeah. Great.
All right, next up, Edie, Eugene, Elise, Ethan, Pat, Marguerite, Gene, and Roy.
How do you want to?
You can stay where I was at. Make it step. People on this side. Maybe take her on that side. That looks great. Just get a lot closer together. And then, it's good. Okay, this camera. Big smile. And done. Great.
All young, Suggs, Johnson, Nathan.
Shannon, we're going into Shannon. This is everyone. This is your family.
Just closer to her because you can't see it. That way you can set it. If you're in the way back, maybe tip me to it in a second. All right. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. On 3, 1, 2, smile. All right. Six on ball.
All right, Edie, Eugene, Elise, Ethan, Pat, Marguerite, Kevin, Massey, Stephen, and Ruben.
She doesn't know. I don't know what one you would do.
All right, I got it. Let's see, Edie, Eugene, Helene, Ethan, immediate family.
Okay, everyone's in the air conditioning. All right,
Kristen Lee. Where do you stay? Stay.
He's gonna wrap.
layout. You guys stay. Yeah, it's Johnson's Jade White, Maria Tim, Maria Taylor, Sophie Badge.
It's a little lopsided, maybe a couple It's okay, you're on the same photo. But one person can film me right now. Step a little that way and see a little more of him. Perfect. Good. Smiles and done. Cool.
All right. PD is now moving to other both. Oh, you want to say that? Okay. All right.
Check outside. He's coming. There he is. Can you check to see if
Jonathan, and he.
Take a little shot. This is great. All right. All right, everyone, just stop. Just get right here. Your hesitates. right here. Looks like I can see everybody pretty well. Okay, on three. 1, 2, and 3. One more. Perfect. Great.
Okay, now order, will we touch this thing?
Hey again. Yes, I packed up and completely finished recording without realizing that in this take 3, in the previous take 3, not this take because this is take 4, I did not even talk about lenses. There's a really important thing I want to mention with that. I did talk about it in the first 2 times I tried to make this video, but again, thanks to the Sigma FP. So, what lenses do I use when shooting family photos? By far and away, my all-time favorite lens is the now 28-70 f2.0. That is an amazing lens for family photos, and I shoot family photos at f2.0. Generally at 28 millimeter, it's a larger group, wider shot. At f2.0, everybody is going to be perfectly acceptably sharp and in focus from the front to the back. One of the common mistakes I see is that people bring the widest lens possible for the, huge giant group shot. And actually, you want to be thinking in the other direction. You want to be thinking, what's the longest lens possible I can use? If you have say a Catholic church or a large field or space where you can back up a ton, you actually probably want to be shooting with more of a 70-200 or an 85 millimeter for, yes, family group shots. The compression is going to be so intense and the depth of field is going to be so shallow, maybe start to consider stopping down in that range. But if you're like me and you shoot more in the 50 millimeter range or wider, wide open is fine, and 50 millimeters is a pretty good sweet spot for flattery and compression so that people look great. If you use a really wide lens, it starts to really be unflattering for people's faces. Don't recommend it unless you absolutely have to. Even then, I would say take your 35 or 50 millimeter, turn it vertical, and shoot panoramas at people. Don't use a 24 or anything wider than that. Again, that's why the 28-70 is sort of perfect. 28 is as wide as you would want to go with flattering group pictures. And 70 is certainly tight enough to where you're getting fantastic stuff. So that's the lens I would recommend. Again, if you can't muscle up the money for that, 24-70, f2.8, perfectly acceptable. There, a 50 millimeter or longer prime lens. Shoot as wide open as you possibly can, depending on the group size and the layers of people in the group and all of that. But you'd be surprised what you can get away with. So that's all I wanted to say about gear. Yeah, hopefully that's really helpful. Thank you. Bye.